Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, or if you're in Australia, good night. How are you? Welcome to another session of IndieX 2020. And I know everybody's been watching me. Is like, why the hell does this guy always says that he's now going to speak with the creators of a really unique game? It's because it actually I've been having a pleasure of. I know I chose which games to speak with the developers, and now I have a Umurangi Generation, which is a game I actually wrote about in early this year, and I was really happy and really surprised for having them submit the game, and of course getting as a finalist for IndieX 2020. And it's a great pleasure to speak with two of the creators, Tali Faulkner and Thor. By the way, Thor is the actual Norse god, so let's pay him the respect he deserves. Hello, guys. How are you? Welcome.
Yeah, well.
Hey.
And yeah, if you do piss Thor off, expect a lightning bolt to your car. And I'm like, no,
Please don't. 2020 is already hard enough without getting smite by a Norse god. So I was saying good night to Australia because you're Australians and you're speaking from the land down under, isn't it?
well, I live in Australia. Thor, you want to introduce where you're from?
Yeah, I'm from the Netherlands in Europe.
Oh, so you're closer. So
So-
you're closer to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm living in Australia, but like I'm from New Zealand. My family background, I'm like Ngātarangi and Pakeha, obviously. Yeah, like I guess me and Thor, we kind of I approached him and was on my hands and knees saying, "Please let me use your music for the game." And as the game sort of got made, he sort of contributed in ways I think that doesn't get enough credit for. Like one of the best levels I think was your idea, really. Well, two actually. The train level as well. And then
Yeah, I know the kind of like Kowloon inspired one came from me.
yeah, I didn't know
Not
what
like I made it.
was,
But
and this guy here made a pretty good video on it. Kowloon's like a piece of concept art came to life, isn't it? Like
yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
So this is the magic of internet, isn't it? Because you created a really unique game with, well, from what I see, I didn't know that, but with people around the world. Where is the rest of the team located? Do you know each other personally, or you started working digitally with each other?
Well, it's just pretty much just us, isn't it? Other than like the translation team
Okay.
who plays them, they did like the Japanese and Chinese translation, and Taku, he also helped a lot with a bit of QA stuff. But I think when we made the DLC a little while ago,
Yeah.
DLC came out less than a few weeks ago. I think Thor had a chance to completely make a whole new soundtrack. So I think he smashed it on that. Like absolutely nailed it. Yeah.
By the way, Playism is a publisher we've known for quite a while. We've been with them in Tokyo Game Show 2018 or 17. I can't remember when, but it's a publisher. I think we covered pretty much every single game they released so far. How did you get to know those guys? How did you get to a Japanese indie publisher?
So I think what happened there was I was just fiddling around with some code one day for translation, just for like long term stuff. Put this in and see how, like if the game does well, we'll translate it around. Like that was my kind of thinking at the time, and I just posted with some bad Google Translate in, and I think Playism found it through their Twitter feed, and they're like, "Oh, what's this? This looks kind of good. Like Jamie's going to use Google Translate," and so they sent me a message, and we sort of came to an agreement on some stuff, and they actually really helped a lot because they're, I think, just namesake, helped us secure like Switch dev kits and stuff like that to help bring it out to sort of further places. Because I know that Nintendo, when it comes to indies, you kind of have to have, I guess, a bit of a proven track record to make sure you're not like lowering the standard of what's going on in the store and stuff. So when they saw, at first when I applied and said, I've got this much experience, blah blah blah, they went, nah, it's all good. But then when they saw Playism was involved, they went, okay, sure. and so they moved more into that space. So that went well.
You already pre-answered something. Some time along this streaming session, there will a person pop up in our chat, which is Gonçalo Lopes, which is a close friend of ours, also a writer for Nintendo Life, and there is his signature question, which is, "Hey guys, great! When is this going to be released on Switch?" Because he buys every single game that gets released on Switch, and he asks this to every single indie dev we bring to IndieX. So you already pre-answered that, and so thank you for that.
Well, yeah, we're working on the Switch port at the moment.
Okay.
It's like.
Is it published by Playzen too? They are your publishers there.
Yeah, they publish for the sort of Asia region.
Yeah.
And like it will be coming to Switch. We don't have just a concrete date on that yet, but we're just still working through the process of just making sure that it runs well, but also adding in some good features like if you've got like say a Switch Lite and you hold it up to your head, it's sort of just like holding a camera. We want to make it that when you're moving it around, it's sort of corresponding to what you're doing in game. So
that's a cool idea. I think it fits really well with the game.
I think it's the best way to play, to be honest, because it's that kind of thing where I think the idea of motion controls, that's actually kind of a very good use for it. Because we've all played Zelda Breath of the Wild, hopefully.
Yeah, and you used it the same way with the tablet. Yeah. By the way, when I think it was Kevin McKay that sent me the game to review from Playism, and when I started playing it, I thought immediately, do these guys liked Pokemon Snap? And because I loved Pokemon Snap, and when I saw this concept game around photography and finding small elements on the landscape, I was like, yeah, this is a pretty relaxing game, although you have time, and we'll see this when I start playing this. But what was your...
Yeah, don't worry about it, you'll be right. The Pokemon Snap stuff, I think it really does... people have a lot of that comparison to it.
Because there aren't many photography-based games around.
That's it, yeah. I think it's time for me to, get my gamer card revoked. But I actually haven't played and finished Pokemon Snap. Like, I've only ever played bits of it at like friends' houses when I was younger. I've never actually like played it to the end. So I think that was like kind of a blessing and a curse, or well, I think it was a blessing for this because I didn't really have, I think, pre-existing sort of thoughts on what is the sort of photography genre in games.
Yeah,
I kind of more just took the skill set that I had in photography in real life to put in there.
But what's your background, by the way? What's your
bit of everything.
Okay.
But I mean, at my old job, the job title really didn't fit the skill set, I guess, because it was like, can you do this? Yes. Can you do this? Like, it'd be like the kind of thing where.
So your business card says MacGyver.
I think for a while it said like digital jack of all trades.
Okay. Close enough.
Well, it was like, because I mean it's the kind of thing where it's all interrelated, but it's like one day you'll be doing photography, and the next day you'll be doing like web design, and then the day after that you'll be like making apps, and then the day after that you'll be editing a video, right? And it's like it's all sort of related, but it's not. Yeah. I guess ask Thor a hard question now, huh?
I've never played Pokemon Snap either, by the way. Same with Jet Set Radio. The game clearly takes a little bit from that, and I've got some people asking like, "Oh, for the soundtrack, how inspired were you by Jet Set Radio?"
Yeah.
And I'm like,
but also the art direction, it resounds to Jet Set Radio. Actually, you have that feel of Jet Set Radio.
Yeah, but I've never played Jet Set Radio.
You must play Jet Set Radio. It's on Steam now. I wasn't supposed to be.
At some point.
I think it's. I don't know if it's on sale. By the way, talking about Steam, please don't forget everyone that you can play now Umurangi Generation. Am I saying it right? Umurangi.
Umurangi Generation.
Umurangi Generation. Please go try it because Origami Digital, they were nice enough to have a demo ready. You can go to their Steam page, wishlist it, buy it, play the demo first, in whichever order you would like, but please do the following. And maybe I think the best thing is to show you what Umurangi Generation is, and I'm gonna play, and maybe have the authors laughing like, how isn't he seeing that specific thing that he's looking for? But let's go.
How can he be worse at the game than me?
So I'm going to play in English, of course. And what is Umurangi Generation about? It's
so I mean, there's layers to it, I guess, but on the sort of surface, it's kind of about, like, you know, you and your friends taking photos and sort of exploring a space, I guess, that's sort of gone through a bit of a crisis event, which is why a lot of people are calling it like the game of 2020, because it sort of hits some notes that are very similar, I guess. Some things to look out for here at the moment. First of all, here's Thor's music, which I think he nailed. So are you playing on keyboard or controller?
I'm not playing on the keyboard.
Yeah, cool.
7 birds, yeah.
So what you got to do is you got to take photos of these photo bounties. And what they are is they're like, take a photo of the following. So 7 birds, you got to find a way to get 7 birds in the
Oh,
shot.
that one was the last one when I was playing this this level. I thought it was so hard to find the specific point to photograph them all. I think it was the hardest one I found in the game.
Well, it's interesting because, like, as you actually play the game, it actually kind of gets easier in a way, or with some objectives, because, like, you know, once you get the wide angle or fisheye lens, it's like you don't even need to worry about, you know, framing stuff up anymore. You can just smash it out. But
so I have my bounty, Mountain Mauer, 2 boombox.
Yes.
Yeah, in 1 photo. Yeah,
so,
I can do it like this. Oh yeah. Yeah, and congratulations Thor, because the soundtrack is really awesome. And I noticed you can also buy the soundtrack. Whoever's watching and enjoys the soundtrack, you can go to Steam and buy it directly. So if I recall, no, I don't have a wide angle enough to do this.
Yeah, what you'll probably need to do is the way I always do it is you walk in that behind the fence that you're near. You go out the back there.
Yeah.
You can usually, if you jump up there and stuff, you can usually get a shot. You can also double jump in this game. A lot of people don't know that at first, but
I didn't know that, and I played several levels. Thank you.
You can double jump. Another thing that people don't realize you can do at first is when you're looking down the camera, you press E and Q to lean, similar to like a first-person shooter. And that can also help you just angle in stuff. But yeah, so the idea of this game, where I guess it differs from things like Pokemon Snap A, is like it's sort of just measures what you've got in your shot and then gives you like a little score. But like, for example, when you go to like focus it in, or you know, how you want to position your camera and stuff, that's not really judged. So it's more about like, what are you going to judge that photo as yourself, like when you take it, which I think that's a little bit more interesting when it comes to like, you know, trying to get people to do certain things, I guess, because that's kind of what you can do with games, is, you know, get them to behave in a certain way, I guess. Like, so that's a little
time limit is like, it's more for like bonus points, so you're pretty much free to still just do whatever you want, kind of chill.
Just vibe out,
Something cool that I played this for a long time ago is I can't remember where things are, so it's cool to be looking for them live with you.
Well, I think something that's a cool little Easter egg about this level is if you look at the tapes that are around the level, they're actually actually Thor's albums.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So if you go to this box there and you look at the tape, you just zoom in on that. Well, I don't think that one's your album, but the other ones are. This one's just, I think it's just 90s garbage or something. If you go up the stairs here and you look at some of the other tapes, they say like Positive Yellow and Bird and stuff like that.
I had no idea.
Yeah, Positive Yellow, it's a fact.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Because a lot of this early soundtrack.
But how did you discover Thor's work?
Actually, yeah, so like most people, when you play a game and you like it and everyone else hates it, you go on the internet and you look for confirmation that you're not. So I played Metal Gear Survive and I really liked it, and I was like, wait, was that? No, sorry, it wasn't Metal Gear Survive. It was Left Alive. I was like, has to be something about Left Alive. And Thor made a video and it was called Left Alive, a future cult classic. And I think he gave it a pretty good shake. And said, it's pretty janky, but it's kind of fun. And the whole point of it is not to fight, it's to actually run away. I was like, that's pretty interesting. So,
I can't believe it's that game that brought us together.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so like that was the case, and then I think I came across your music as well through like checking out your links and things like that. Because after I think you watch one Thor video, you go on a bit of a binge. Because I mean, this he's not talking much now, but if you go watch his videos, he's very much like a
I don't comfort food. I just keep going.
Well, you've got a very relaxing voice as well, so. You get your Metal Gear Solid retrospective and stuff, but I came onto Twitter and I said to him, can I use some of your music? And it's for a different project, actually.
Yeah.
The one that, if I look to my right here, I've still got most of the, there's like a bunch of crazy man scrollings on the wall.
Did he agree instantly?
It was like a 2D game, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I was working on this 2D game, which probably revisit in the future, but that game had gone through a lot of weird, how like if you work on a project for like an extended period of time, it just starts to change naturally because of like whatever's happening. So it was like it started with like chiptune music, and then it moved further into like vaporwave, like neo 80s music, and then like by the time I'd reached Thor, I was like, it'd be really good to have this experimental, whatever. And then I think shortly after, because it was one of those things where I sort of had to just like, not necessarily cut my losses, but shelve it and say, right, revisit this when you got a little bit more like of a strong vision on it. Because I'd written a script and stuff, which I think was pretty good. Like it was kind of, I think it was 5 or 6 pretty fleshed out characters, and it was just about exploring what they do day to day. But like. By the time I think I'd asked Thor for his music, I then sort of started working on this just like in my spare time after work and stuff. And it was the kind of thing where I then had to approach him and go, can I actually use your music for something else? And I thought he was going to be like, fuck off, idiot. But no, he was totally cool with that.
That would be a cool answer.
Thor's been great. And he actually composed some new tracks for the base game anyway, but when it came out of DLC, he made just like, 51 new tracks? Like
over an hour's worth of new music.
Yeah, it's fucking the bomb. Like, I guess because it's that whole thing where the music you compose for the new stuff is like reactive to what's in the content of the new game, the DLC.
It's whereas because it kind of like bounced off of each other a little bit, because you were like, the stage is like this, and then I made something kind of like according to it, and then you'd get like an idea from that and alter the stage a bit, like the mech stage in the DLCs is quite like that, where we like bounced ideas back and forth a bit.
Yeah,
so
and I think like
this whole like mismatch of like references to like Metal Gear and mech shows and like all kinds of stuff.
But
I think it was
also has a cool, relaxing ambience, doesn't it? I always felt it when I was playing. That's why people compare it to Jet Set Radio. you have some kind of this urban, relaxing feel to it. And I think it fits really well with the game. It was pretty well chosen, Tali. Really, good invitation on Thor.
It's like with the next stage, you know, Phil come up with the idea that was it you came up with the idea? I'm pretty sure, or unless I'm trying to just palm something up on you, but like I remember the idea of like making it so the two of the objectives were sort of like Metal Gear Solid 2 objectives of like,
oh right, yeah,
you know, take photo of the side and then like, you know, from the side and the logo kind of thing. So working that in as well as
because you, for like the mech hangar level thing, you asked me if I could make a song that was kind of like MGS2, a little bit like tonally.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, and then we started talking about it, and you were kind of explaining how you weren't quite sure what kind of photo objectives you wanted yet. And I was like, oh, well, it could be funny if you do like, you know, in the start of Metal Gear Solid 2, there's like, take a photo from the left-hand side and take a photo from the Marine Corps insignia. And I was like, what if we just do that? You got the big robot already, might as well.
Yeah, and there's actually there's that little Easter egg that kind of puts you in a spoticon when you get close to the little laptop there. I thought it was pretty good. Overall, I think that level, you know,
is that your your favorite level
like,
in the game?
The
one you're most satisfied with? Yeah, the one you're most satisfied with in developing.
I'll let Thor go first.
I think my favorite one is either the one we just talked about, the mech hangar one, or the one which I think is the 4th or maybe 5th level in this one. It's like a train station. I just really like how that looks. It's like really colorful, really busy. There's like a lot going on. I just really like the vibe of it.
Yeah, I think that's number 7.
The mech one I like a lot, mainly because of what I got to do with it. There's a lot of music for it that I got to make that I hadn't really made like that before. Got to try out a lot of new shit, so pretty happy with that one.
I think my favorite level, I mean, obviously they're all perfect because I made them. No, no. So I guess the thing I think about is like I enjoyed making the Strand, but going back
that was
and
really good too.
Putting 500 hours into it, I think it's probably the most flat. You know, it's like literally just a flat street with some stuff you can climb, but like...
It took you 500 hours to develop that specific stage?
No, not that specific stage. Like, I recently, like, after launch, I added Steam achievements to the game so I can track how long I've been playing the game, just because it says how long... Like, when I'm in the debug editor, it counts as playtime because it's hooked up to Steam. And so I can see that I've put in 597 play hours since, like, you know, a couple months ago. So, but like, I guess my favorite place to take photos in the game would probably be, I don't know, it's like they're all my babies. I can't. But, I don't know. Maybe I'll make some hard choices here. I guess I like Walled City. I think I like that because, you know, it was like hearing a lot of the stories from Thor, and then like you know, also twisting that up and thinking about it in the context of like cyberpunk as a genre, because this game sort of has like cyberpunk stuff in it, or like the term I heard referred to this game the other day, which I kind of think fits with it, is like someone referred to it as post cyberpunk because it's like got the cyberpunk stuff in it, but it moves more towards like
what happens
in a way
after.
It's a little bit of a critique of it as well, like you know, like the walled city area is sort of like it. I guess it shows that kind of walled city idea, or you know, the concrete jungle thing you often see in cyberpunk stuff, and just sort of twists it a little bit to be more about like, you know, minority groups that are living together in community and things like that. And I think
it's more like cyberpunk from a modern point of view rather than cyberpunk that's still rooted in the 80s, as a lot of it still is.
Yeah, and I think part of the DLC is kind of a joke at that, or you know, like Gamers Palace is kind of like, you know, to like that level's kind of to say, hey, it's not actually what you think it is. Like, you know, that bit where you go outside in that area and like the music just cuts and it's like you kind of see like, oh yeah, okay, this is actually what's going on.
I feel like just the name for that one is funny though.
Yeah.
Gamer's Palace.
That was great. Coming up with the names of all the gaming places for the Strand was like just the whole time tongue in cheek, eh? Because like I think it's one of those things, eh? Like when you start to like, you know, we've all seen those T-shirts that people wear that I'm a gamer, don't mess with me, or I'm Respawn, you know, that kind of just like, it's like that weird like tough guy stuff, but it's like, come on, dude, like, but I think my favorite one out of that was like, I think it was not, what was it? It was I don't know, like, for me, I wanted to capture that whole vibe of like, you know, mid-2000s gaming websites, you know, like they all
were extreme.
They're all like game. What was that? Sorry.
They all were extreme. Or wanted to be
they
extreme.
were all like
Yeah,
the gamer's haven, or you know, the gaming nirvana, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You just like think about some of those, like even GameSpot, you know, to a degree. Like it's kind of stayed around, but you can imagine there would have been like, you know, 6 other GameSpots, but rather than GameSpot, they'd been called like Game Cribs or something. But yeah, I think I don't know, having a bit of a poke at that was fun. I think in the DLC, my favorite level was probably, I think it was probably Gamer's Palace or the Hangar. Yeah, like in terms of, I think Gamer's Palace being able to twist the knife there in some ways was pretty good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think the music as well, like putting Tariq in again and sort of, I guess, contextualizing that a little bit more. I thought that was pretty good. Like,
Oh, there.
so Thor let me use his OC
Like the
Tariq
weirdest
as well.
thing for me. The whole like
Seeing-
Tariq thing.
Yeah.
It's just a stupid joke that I had in a video for like a Patreon shout out, as you do
Yeah.
as a YouTuber. You gotta do that. And then like people just took to it, and then I put a reference to it in one of my songs, and then that song ended up in Umurangi, and then it just I get like Tariq fan art and like fan songs and stuff. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. I remember for a while someone was like on the Discord, people were using text-to-speech bots, and one of them was there and they used the wrong Tariq voice, and then someone used the right Tariq voice, and they're like, do not be confused by this traitor, this person is an imposter or something like that. Only listen to the real Tariq. Yeah.
Yeah, fun. You know, the first time I played, I some of these objectives I found them faster than other ones. Oh yeah, let me deliver the parcel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's no shame in not being able to find stuff, because even though I worked in this game when I played it the first time, I still got like super stuck in a few places.
And you know what?
think-
I was looking around because I remembered that the Union Jack was on a skateboard. And I was like, where the hell is the skateboard? Because I remember that it was on a skateboard. And you can simply forget about time and real world when you go play Umurangi Generation, don't you? You just go into these moody songs and let me be with my camera searching for these items that these guys decided to spread around this level. And whoa, yeah. So here's the first in this level. It's the first telephoto we have to take, isn't it?
Yeah, so what the game's sort of structured like is it's essentially a tutorial for photography in real life, I guess. Like, what you're kind of doing is you're slowly unlocking things that are teaching you just like tiny little bits of how certain aspects of photography work. So that like by the time you finish the game, you sort of have all the skills to go out and take photos like in real life. So this level's the first time you unlock the telephoto. It's just one objective you have to do with the telephoto just to.
But remind me something. I wasn't supposed to have the tele objective on my first on the first level, didn't I? Because I already finished it.
Well, you unlock stuff as you go.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You'd already done just like a test run and unlocked it. So like, you can go back to the old levels with all your new gear and like fuck around there as well. And that includes like the DLC stuff as well. Like, some of the stuff added in the DLC is like the ability to spray paint most things, or most of the property of the UN, because it's part of the, I guess, you know, like anti-fascist message of the DLC. Have I sent you the DLC code, or?
No, I haven't tried it yet, actually.
Yeah, I'll have to send you that. But the DLC is kind of about like taking ideas from Jet Set Radio and bringing them up to now. Like, if you play Jet Set Radio, it's very much like, you know, cops are not the good people, and there's a bit of a, like, you know, anti-authoritarian and message and things like that. And yeah, the idea with this game was to make it so that the that DLC, I guess, fit with that tone still, like it's not out of place.
Wasn't happy enough with okay, 3 lit cigarettes. Well, this is Sharky.
So this is sort of like the first area where you start to suspect something more directly might be wrong. So there's like clues in the first level that something's up, but this level's kind of where you start to see, like, oh, what are these soldiers doing, or what are they fighting against, right? And it's where you start to see things like, you know, the newspaper headlines start to come in. You've got the, like, you know, way more like obvious blue bottles in this area, and you're like, what's that all about?
And by the way,
but also, like,
what are these? I know I probably.
So, I think in the northern hemisphere they call them Portuguese man o' war, but
yeah.
They call them blue bottle. And the idea is that a couple of things. I mean, I thought you had a big belly laugh when I said they strand and Death Stranding had just come out.
Yeah.
But they're sort of like an invasive thing that, like, they'll sort of invade a beach at times. But I guess they also fit kind of with this game's sort of layer about, like, neoliberalism, I guess, where they're kind of an objective where the people asking you to take photos want you to not put them in there because they don't want to remind people of what's going on. So when people are, you know, when you start to see the stuff happen in the game, the, like, you know, main thing that, you know, whoever you're taking these photos for is they say, don't bring it up, you know. And I think that's kind of why, like, people, I guess, felt a strong connection to this game around COVID, because the same thing happens with that, which is, don't talk about COVID, you know, talk more about social distancing or, you know, staying safe. Like, don't actually mention, you know, anything like the reality of what's going on. And so for this game, it was sort of, you know, obviously based on the bushfires here in Australia. So the idea was, when the bushfires came around, it was like, most of the, you know, news and ads and politician talk and stuff was, don't say climate change, say bushfire crisis, and, you know, don't talk about the reason why this happened, which every expert on Earth has already determined why it happened the way it did. Instead, you just need to, like, take it back and don't mention it, that kind of thing. And I guess, you know, it's kind of interesting, like, you know...
How you change the narrative depending on what you focus or not on saying.
Well, I guess something that I kind of think about is the same people who have been denying climate change for the last 10, 20 years denied COVID's existence almost immediately. You know, it's like the same script, and they just swapped out the actors, didn't they?
Yeah, but you felt it especially from the populist right, and you noticed the big actors on that landscape doing exactly that. So,
and like there is a little bit about that, I guess, in the DLC when it comes to certain degrees of, like, leftists as well. But, like, yeah, I think it mainly comes from the right. Like, I think one thing that kind of pisses me off a little bit, and you see it in the Gamers Palace bit in the DLC, is kind of like you've got that weird, like, we are very anti-authoritarian, but, like, right next to the, like, you go to the area in the Gamers Palace and it's all the anti-establishment clothing co or whatever, and then, like, right next to it there's all these posters about, you know, how awesome the cops are and stuff. So I think that there's like degrees to it, but yeah, I think it mainly does come from the populist right at the moment. You know, and I think it's more that like, it's not necessarily about, like, you know, I'm not some, well, I'm wearing a beanie at the moment, but I was about to say I'm like some beanie wearing dumb fuck interest or anything. I'm like more in the idea that you know, it's all sort of degrees of like how liberalism works. Not like to say, you know, liberalism, how you'd hear like a shock jock talk, but more in that idea of like, it's like what the backbone of like Western political thought is. You know, like you've got like, you know, classical liberalism, social liberalism, and now neoliberalism, and that's not really a partisan thing. That's more just the backbone of assumptions, right? Mm-hmm. So like, you know, rather than it being a thing around like, you know, it being left or right, it's kind of like it, you know, the way it behaves is kind of consistent throughout. And I think like, you know, this game I think is very overtly leftist in a lot of ways. So I don't think anyone's going to, you know, complain about that. Well, there will be people who complain about that when it gets a bit more popular, but you know.
But you were talking about the COVID crisis, and for example, even here in Portugal, for us, and I know you're a New Zealander. New Zealand is actually some kind of good example to us. I think to everybody.
Yeah, I think there are people who try to say the narrative is that like, oh well, you know, they're very isolated compared to the rest of the world. It's like, no, everyone gets in by plane. You know, like New Zealand went down hard and fast. That's why it worked. You know, they said no one's coming in, no one's going outside of their houses, you're all locked down. Like I was talking to an uncle, and one of my uncles, he started up just a meat delivery service during COVID, and it did really well because everyone, you know, the second thing to go after toilet paper was mince, right, from the shop. You know, like frozen meat. Everyone wanted that, and they bought it all out. So he just started a thing where he talked to a mate who was a butcher, and they just decided to do a meat delivery service, and it went really well. But like, you know, Australia's like where I'm living at the moment. It's just we're in this weird situation where we've actually done not too bad, right? We've had 2 waves of COVID, and we've managed to keep the deaths, you know, quite low.
And you already passed the winter season, so it was it's we here in the northern hemisphere we're having. Now we're getting heavy hit more than we were on the first wave. So you already passed your winter season.
The thing that annoys me to no end, right, is so Joe Biden's now been elected president, and he's called on Australia to help him set up the COVID task force or whatever. And you know, you have right-wing Australian media, 1, saying that's a bad thing, and 2, they're trying to drag us into another fucking lockdown because they're not taking it seriously. Yeah. You know, and they're trying to point to America as the success story, right? Which is just like, yeah, exactly. Like they're trying to say like, hey, our economy can't go bad. We need to be like America's economy. And it's like, no, like we're good. We don't want that. We don't want everyone being infected. We're good.
You have a worse narrative here in Europe. I don't know if Thor is listening to this, especially from right-wing populists and neoliberals, which is and Sweden. Sweden is really successful. No, it isn't. Like it has the same population as Portugal, and twice people died already. No, if twice people died, you weren't successful because lives are important. Okay, so that narrative, the way, especially when you have, I don't know how in Australia is, but in Portugal, the biggest part of our mainstream media belong to right-wing companies.
Do you want to hear the scariest thing about Australia's media?
Yeah, Sky News. Sky News.
If you're an Australian, you can own 90% of the media. Rupert Murdoch's a chill citizen.
Yeah, I know. Sky News. I was.
America.
Oh my God.
He owns 90% of Australia's media.
Yeah.
And,
I was
Yeah.
reading Australian Sky News coverage of the elections, and I thought, how can Sky News Australia be far worse than Fox News in America? Because literally
terrible.
they were far worse. Yeah.
Well, their whole thing was like, 'cause I saw a bit of that, and they said, like we've all seen the copium stuff happening lately with MAGA people losing their mind or whatever, but like a lot of the best montages for me is seeing these guys be so sure of, like one of them made a fucking post on the first day of the election, like on his stupid blog no one reads. It was called, haha, ooh, you guys thought you were going to win or whatever. And then like, 2 days later, it's full copium of like, we need to stop this, they're taking over, you know, it's like, fuck off. Like, Like, I think what's interesting about Australia is like we have this very strong right-wing presence, but in some ways we also have like pretty strong like fascist presence as well. In some ways, like you know, I think about like, you know, there's just the whole thing. Like, I don't know. I heard a story once that helps me unpack a lot of this sometimes. And it's this idea of like, with certain things like that, the only way to defeat them is to just laugh at them, right? Because they don't have like they don't have a critical look of just how stupid they look, right? And the only way you can get them to look at themselves critically is to get them to like laugh at them until they go, "Why is everyone laughing at me?" Oh, because I'm doing this, right? And I know that like Australia's had some pretty good comedians over the years who have been like able to do that very well in like Australia's political landscape. So like really almost like 10 years ago, I mean they're still kind of around, but they've been nerfed to shit because like the government defunded the ABC, which is like the public broadcast station over here. But there was a comedy group called The Chaser, and they were really good at holding politicians accountable, because if they fucked up, they would get sort of like punked, and you know they would have a show on every like Tuesday, I think, where they'd show the clips of them like, you know, heckling politicians. Like one of the examples was like a certain politician got spotted at a strip club or something like that, and so when he was on his morning walk, they would like rock up to him with a bunch of strippers or something.
Like a reverse walk of shame.
Yeah, they just like sort of shame them and stuff. But there was like better times they did it where it was like, I think one of the ones that was kind of funny was, and they're kind of really well known for doing this, is they got into the G20. Oh, sorry, not the G20. What was it called? It's equivalent of the G20. I can't remember what it's called, but they got into something like that where they made a fake motorcade, and they pretended to be. They just hired a car and put some Canadian flags on it, and then they drove into this iron ring or something they called it on the news. You know, like, oh, if you got in here, you know, you must be a terrorist or something, and you know, it must be really like everyone's secure or something like that. Anyway, so they got into this iron ring of security, and then they got one of their guys to hop out of the car, and he was wearing like a really dodgily made like Osama bin Laden outfit, and you know, did like a couple of laps in the iron ring, just going for a little bit of walk, stretching his legs or whatever. And then the cops come up and they arrest the wrong guy. They don't arrest the guy in the outfit. They arrest just like one of the random guys holding a camera. Cause it was just like it was a total farce, like just a joke. And I think like when it comes to like, you know, stuff like that, the best way to, you know, just deal with it is not to like engage with any of their arguments, because usually they're, you know, the goalposts have been moved so far to wherever that there's literally no point, you know. Like,
you know something I noticed
arguments to begin with,
guys. Something I noticed. The first one is the guy I was telling you about, Gonçalo Lopes, already is here. He's also a composer, and he was telling you Thor sick bits, and yeah, they truly are. The second thing, you just hit my Achilles heel, because he started talking about politics, and that's something that's one of the most enjoyable things I like to talk about, and which made me completely forget about the hours, because I have another session next. And
no, you're good.
This is really great, and I guess we have to do this after IndieX. We have to do another live stream, because I was so relaxed playing that I at the same time was just talking about politics with you guys.
I think this game's a really good podcast game, if you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
You need to listen to. You just chuck this on and let's do it.
And you already have a great soundtrack for it, so yeah. So it comes free with the game. Well, not directly, guys. I'm not saying that you can get the soundtrack for free. You actually can buy it from Steam, but yeah. I felt so much into the zone because of this ambience of what the hell is UN doing here, and you have the signals and these writings on the wall, these literal writings on the wall, like we should have known better. I think I saw something like this, or why did we?
Yeah.
And it's literally we started talking about politics,
when you get
and
further into the game, you'll see why it's sort of there, but it's sort of to be a little bit of like a undeniable you know, example of what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Just sort of, I guess, metamorphosized into a different looking thing, or a little bit more like, it's very hard to deny it exists when you see it in this game, you know. It's all part of it.
Tali and Thor, I completely run out of time. It's a shame because I was reading lots of fun, especially speaking about politics. You didn't know that, but it's one of my main interests. I love talking about politics, and I do it with my friends all the time, especially on the phone because now we have to social distance. And this is really great. Then again, congratulations on Umurangi Generation. I think it's a really unique game. I can understand why people say it looks like Jet Set Radio, but most of all, it's because of this fight.
Yeah.
And not only that, especially you feel this in the first level. You don't feel that much. You have some small hints like the UN symbols, the items you see spread, but now when you go into this militarized zone, you start feeling there is some kind of shady stuff, and having youngsters showcasing it in their way, especially with photography, because in fact we know that photography, especially since the last century, has been a powerful weapon to fight autocrats. And yeah, it's an awesome metaphor. And I would like to challenge you to do this in December. I think we'll return with our regular streams like we usually do, like talking with developers outside of IndieX now at Robot Chicken. And it would be great to do this without schedule. Like if we have a 3-hour conversation about geopolitical situation while playing Umurangi Generation, for me it's a win. So
I think what we'll also need to do is Thor's working on a game at the moment that he hasn't really shown enough people, but I think it looks pretty mad. Like
it's very early though.
Well, but it is cool though.
Would you want to show it like
yeah, sure.
Yeah, that would be great, guys. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for being with us. Umurangi Generation, congratulations on the game. Then again, it's amazing to find a game I found through Playism, and I wrote about it, and to be able to speak with the developers and congratulate them directly. So guys, thanks a lot. And well, for the rest of you, I don't have time even to go to the bathroom, but I'll return in 5 minutes with one of the finalists of PlayStation Talents, Tali Faulkner. Thor, thanks a lot for being with us. Okay, see you later.
Okay, bye.